All right, folks, let's get started with a little 7.2 review from the work I saw yesterday. Everyone did exceptionally well at this. 3/9. 3/9. If we're going to add together, if we're going to find 3/9 as the sum of unit fractions, remember unit fractions is where 1 is in the denominator. We're going to add 1/9 plus 1/9 plus 1/9 equals 3/9. Those are where we're adding unit fractions. Let's look at another one, 2/6. If we're going to add together unit fractions to find the sum of 2/6, well, we got to make sure we've got 1 in the numerator. 1/6 plus 1/6. Very good. And then finally, the book also asks you to find the sum of fractions, not with unit fractions, but really any combination of fractions that you'd like. So if we look at 7/8, again, we're not going to add together unit fractions, but just any fractions to find the sum. There are a couple different possibilities. I chose to do 2/8 plus 3/8 plus 2/8 again equal 7/8. You could have done something like 6/8 plus 1/8 equals 7/8. There's a couple other combinations. So just keep in mind what unit fractions are, and of course that you can kind of go about adding together, finding the sum of fractions with smaller fractions. Okay. 7.3 is a continuation of that. We're just going to be using models. Using models to find the sum of fractions again. That's our objective. Let's look at this. Let's pretend we've got a slice of bread. And you say, Mr. Morgan, that is a lovely slice of bread. It's Wonder Bread, if you're wondering what brand it is. All right. This bread is divided up into 9 slices. So get 9 slices, that's our whole. We see 9 in the denominator on the equation. All right, in the numerator, let's look at, we've got 1/9 of a slice. So one piece of bread is 1/9, right? Because there's 9 slices and it's just one piece. Let's say you had that for breakfast, for toast. One piece of toast with honey, you ate 1/9 of the slice for breakfast. Let's say for lunch, you were super hungry and you made 2 salami sandwiches, which required 4 pieces of bread. So then you ate 4 out of the total 9 slices, or 4/9. By the end of the day, your mother is going, oh my goodness, how much bread did you eat? Well, you can say, Mother, I ate 1/9 plus 4/9. I ate a total of 5/9, so a little bit more than half the loaf. I'm sorry, I'll eat less tomorrow. All right, anyway, 1/9 plus 4/9 equals 5/9, modeled there with our Wonder Bread. All right, one of the common ways that you're going to see it in the book are with these, oh goodness, what are they called? Let me review what the book calls them here. They're called fraction strips. All right, don't forget that when you're looking at kind of this top bar, it's 1. It just represents one whole. So we're looking at parts of a whole. We're looking at parts of one piece. So in this 1, I've hacked it up into 10 pieces. Okay, so there are 10 parts that make up this whole. And then I shaded in a few of the pieces. Let's say at one point I shaded in 1/10. We see it here modeled. And then later on I shaded in 6/10. Altogether, I've shaded 7/10 of this one whole. So there's a little example of how we can find the sum of fractions with fraction strips. 1/10 plus 6/10 equals 7/10 altogether. All right, third option, a number line. The book gives you this question of basically this boy wants to create a model sailboat, and he needs 2 sailing masts. Those masts are the big holes. Masts are those big poles that hold the sails up. And it says that as far as the size of the pieces go, he needs one that is 3/6, and he needs another sailing mast that's 2/6. And I'm not sure, let me check, that might be 2/6 of an inch or 2/6 of a, let me see what size he's talking about. 2/6 of a foot. So the first one, 3/6 of a foot, in other words, half of a foot, and the other sailing mast needs to be 2/6 of a foot. Altogether, he needs 5/6 of a foot, right? So modeled out here onto a number line, we've got our first piece of wood, our first mast. It's extending to 3/6. Okay, then we've got our second mast, which is 2/6. we add them together for a total of 5/6. Very good. Unfortunately, the poor boy in the story problem, his piece of wood that he has is 4/6. So the sailboat requires 5/6 of a foot of wood, this longer amount of wood. His is too short. Poor Johnny, he'll never sail with such a short mast. All right, let's look next. Bag of cat food. All right, this one represents one whole bag of cat food. And the story problem basically relates a story of a cat who begins by eating 3/5 of the bag of cat food, hopefully not in one day, and then later eats 1/5 of the bag of cat food. And total, how much of that bag of cat food has Kitty eaten? 3/5 plus 1/5 is 4/5. Okay, so nearly the whole bag. Modeled out, we have the 3/5 that the kitty originally ate, and then it ate one more fifth, and we'll back out 1, 2, 3, 4. Out of 5 total parts, Kitty has eaten 4/5 of one bag of cat food. Okay, and then let's look at one last one just to reinforce this idea. This fraction strip, again, we have the one whole, and we're going to divide it into parts. I chose to divide this one whole into 3 parts, and then add 2 of these parts together. We have 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 2/3. Just keep in mind that the bar on top represents one whole, and then depending on what fractions you're adding together, the whole could be divided up into 10 pieces like up here, or 9 pieces, or 5 pieces, or 3 pieces, and those numbers will always end up in your denominator. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, let me know. The homework for today, I'm going to look down at it really quickly. It begins on page 397. And runs to 402. And for just to check it, if you guys would send me page 401 in a photo, I can see how you're doing. Keep up the good work. Take care and enjoy adding your fractions with models.